I currently have $5,000 invested into Bitcoin, and in the past 1 year, people have developed a love and hate kind of relation with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. Some people are arguing and making videos about Bitcoin going to $100,000 in this year itself, and some people are arguing and making videos about Bitcoin going to zero. So in this video, I won't be speculating anything. I will just be presenting the facts that many people don't know, many people don't realize. So this video will be all about what is Bitcoin and how it works, why was Bitcoin introduced in the first place, and what Bitcoin wants to achieve. What is the goal behind Bitcoin? Along with that, what affects the pricing of Bitcoin. Until the end of this video, you will understand should you invest into Bitcoin or not. Hey guys, this is Taresh and this channel is all about entrepreneurship, personal finance, investing, and helping you achieve your financial freedom. So in the past 1 or 2 years, the talks around Bitcoin and cryptocurrency have just gone to another level. Bitcoin, Dogecoin, all of these cryptocurrencies saw their all-time highs and then a crash as well. So many people are speculating many things about cryptocurrency, but this video will be only about facts. So first of all, what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is basically a digital or a virtual currency. It is the most popular cryptocurrency right now, the most talked about cryptocurrency right now. But there are many cryptocurrencies like Tether, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. There are many cryptocurrencies. But in this video, I will be just talking about Bitcoin because all the other cryptocurrencies are more or less similar. So Bitcoin is basically digital or virtual currency. Now, why Bitcoin was introduced? In 2008, a person called Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows who this person is or where does this person live or is it a he or a she, nothing about this person. But in 2008, this person published an article about peer-to-peer electronic fund transfer system. This person highlighted the shortcomings of our whole banking system and he proposed a better alternative, a better idea that could replace our banking system right now. Like there are many problems in our banking system right now. For example, the lack of your control over your money itself. If you have deposited money in a bank account, what does the bank do? The bank uses your money to give out loans to other people, and that is the whole model of banking system. Now let's say if today itself all the customers, all the account holders of that bank went and asked for their money, the bank won't be able to pay 50 or 60% of the people or even more. So what does this mean? You don't have the full control over your money itself. The control is with a third person. It has happened many times when there is a pandemic like right now or when there is a recession. Many banks put an upper cap that you can only withdraw, let's say $1,000 a day or $10,000 a month or some kind of cap. And sometimes it happens that if a bank has declared bankruptcy or there has been a big scandal or anything, people are restricted from their account and people don't even have access to their own money. So what does this tell about our banking system? That the control of your money is with a third person. Along with that, there is a lack of transparency and there is more concentration of power with a few third parties. If you do any transaction, let's say I have to send you $100. So $100 needs to be deducted from my account and it needs to be credited into your account. It seems a very simple transaction, but in the back end, the bank computers, the bank servers need to do a lot of processing, a lot of checking, double checking, and only after that, that transaction is approved. So the control of these transactions and the information of these transactions is just with that server, is just in the control of one third person, one company or a group of companies. So this gives the opportunity for a lot of malpractices. Obviously, it is not easy, but anyone can hack into that system, and maybe if they want to delete a transaction to hide something, they can do that. If someone hacks the whole central system, the whole banking system can collapse. Now I'm just trying to explain it in layman's language. Obviously, it is much more complicated than that. There are a lot of firewalls, systems, backups, a lot of different things, but it is still possible because the information and the control of all the transactions is with a single person or a group of persons. So it is easy to manipulate and there is a lack of transparency. So this is what Satoshi Nakamoto was trying to solve. He was trying to remove the participation of third parties from this whole banking system so that you can have more control over your money and the information of each and every transaction can be available everywhere. So this is what he introduced, a peer-to-peer electronic system where the information of each and every transaction will be with every server in that ecosystem. So there will be thousands of servers spread across the world and the information of every transaction will be with every server, and every server will have the power of executing a transaction. So this is where the concept of Bitcoin mining comes into play, because to get all these servers spread across the world, you had to involve a third person. But that is what this system is trying to solve, that to reduce the involvement of third person. So over here, the involvement of the common people was necessary, and the common people had to allow their systems to run the algorithm, to run the software, to act as a server, so that all the transactions can be processed and all of these things can be executed. Now, as an incentive to involve the common people and allow their computers to run as a server, the common people were paid out bitcoins for every successful transaction that their system did. So this is where the concept of Bitcoin mining comes into play. You can allow your system to act as a server, and the more transaction it solves, the more transaction it does, the more reward, the more fees you can take in form of Bitcoin. Now talking about what affects the pricing of Bitcoin. See, the pricing of any commodity like gold or any stock or anything depends on demand and supply. If the demand of anything keeps on increasing with the supply being restricted, then obviously the price of that product, that commodity, will increase. So there is an upper cap of the maximum amount of bitcoins that there can be in circulation. So this maximum limit is at 21 million bitcoins right now. So if the demand keeps on increasing of Bitcoin and there are only a limited amount of Bitcoin, that is 21 million. So obviously with the increasing demand, the price of Bitcoin will also increase. So the people who are investing heavily into cryptocurrency or Bitcoin to be particular, they are speculating that Bitcoin is the currency of the future. Everyone would be using Bitcoin. Your local shops will be using Bitcoin. All the transactions will be done through Bitcoin. So they are speculating that in the future, Bitcoin will become a global currency, a global way of doing transaction. Now you need to understand that the existence and the growth of anything depends on the acceptance of that thing. For example, let's say there is your normal grocery store, or there is your car repairman, or anyone. Let's say tomorrow the government announces that gold can be used as a method of transaction, as a method of payment, and your local shops and everybody starts accepting gold and starts taking transactions and payments in gold. So obviously the value of gold will increase, the demand of gold will increase, and so will the price of gold. So similarly, the people who are investing heavily into Bitcoin, they are thinking that in the future, your normal grocery store, your car repairman, and every transaction will be with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will be hugely accepted in the future. You can see that happening right now as well. There are some steps taken towards the acceptance of Bitcoin by many countries. Many countries have launched global tenders in Bitcoin currency. So this is why many people are thinking that with a limited supply and the demand of Bitcoin increasing in the future, the price of Bitcoin will increase, and that is how they can profit. But there are a few hurdles in this. The first of them being Bitcoin is very unregulated, and cryptocurrency is very unregulated in general. There is no central governing body, there are not a lot of rules and regulations, and there is not a lot of way of controlling or managing this cryptocurrency. So I hope in the future there must be some way of controlling cryptocurrency or having a check over Bitcoin. So this is the first problem. The second problem is the time it takes to execute a transaction. If I have to pay you 1 Bitcoin right now, it will take almost 2 to 3 hours for the transaction to be completed. Now you can't imagine that if you are standing in a grocery shop and you have to pay, let's say, $100, you do the transaction through Bitcoin. Now obviously you won't stand in the shop for 2 hours or 3 hours until the whole transaction is executed and processed. So that is another problem. The third problem is that it is very high in fees for smaller transactions. Day before yesterday itself, I had $50 worth of Bitcoin in some website that I wanted to withdraw. So you won't believe that I requested for a withdrawal and the charges on a $50 transaction was $8. So straight away on a $50 transaction, $8 were deducted for the whole Bitcoin transaction fees and all of these things. Now, if 10, 15, $20 are deducted from a $5,000 or a $10,000 transaction, then it is reasonable. But if 5, 10, $15 are deducted from a $50 transaction, then there is no point doing that transaction in Bitcoin. And the fourth problem is that the price of Bitcoin is very volatile. Let's say you buy some product right now and after 1 hour you go to return that product. Within 1 hour, the price of Bitcoin can fluctuate from 5% to 10% to 20% also. So obviously it is an extreme example, but still the price of Bitcoin is very volatile. So now should you invest into Bitcoin or not? Well, that is completely up to you. Every investment comes with the risk. Let's say you want to invest in some company. Now, what are the things that you look at? You look at the future prospects. You look at the leadership of that company. You look at the product line of that company. You look at their future plans of expansion into different countries. You look at how much debt they have. So there are a lot of factors that you need to take into consideration. And only after you believe in the leadership of some company, in the future growth of some company, you invest into that company. Similarly, if you believe that Bitcoin can become the currency of the future or Ethereum can become the currency of the future, go ahead. It is your money, it is your risk and your profit. So just make sure that you are a smart investor. You do your own research before investing and you believe in what you are investing. That was basically it for today. Likes if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you loved it, and if you want to learn the 5 keys of becoming wealthy, click on the video that is flashing on your screen right now to learn the 5 keys of becoming wealthy and never be broke again.